Please welcome the 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Do you miss me yet? Do you miss me yet? I'm going to continue to fight right by your side. We will do what we've done right from the beginning, which is to win. We're not starting new parties. You know, they kept saying, he's going to start a brand new party. We have the Republican Party. It's going to unite and be stronger than ever before. I am not starting a new party. Many people have asked, what is Trumpism? A new term being used more and more. I'm hearing that term more and more. I didn't come up with it. It means low taxes and eliminating job-killing regulations, Trumpism. It means strong borders. It means no riots in the streets. It means law enforcement. It means very strong protection for the Second Amendment and the right to keep and bear arms.
Hey, good afternoon. It's Red Pill 66. And did you miss Donald Trump as much as I missed Donald Trump? I missed him a lot. It was great to see him at CPAC. His speech was awesome. And it's unbelievable how much people love him. You can see it in all the videos that people put up in, excuse me, in Florida. Just the amount of people that lined up and that just showed up for him. And I am convinced he is going to rerun for 2024. You have a lot of hopium going out there right now that March 4th will be Nasara will kick in. I actually don't believe that's going to happen. But I'm psyched that he's going to be doing his super PAC and that he's going to be going after your rhinos, your Democrats, to try to get in some really strong people. So how is everybody doing today? Let me see. Let me just put my comments here, see if I can see anything. Let's just see. I can't type today. Let's try that again. There we go. All right. So I'm going to get this started, okay, with a few articles that I found. I just got to pull this up. Isn't everybody happy that people are going after Cuomo now? Oh, there's so much. And Cuomo's trying to talk it back. So let me just pull this up real quick. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. There we go. And take this one down. Okie dokie. I found an article in the Patriot News United, which I'm going to share. Cuomo just tried to walk it back. Now, you know Cuomo is in a lot of trouble. And he's got the ugliest face, I'm telling you. And he always looks like he's gonna spit. Oh, I can't help it. I'm sorry. Alrighty, so the walls seem to be closing in on the clingy Andrew Cuomo. The sexual harassment allegations are starting to pile up, and CNN's Chris Cuomo's more powerful older brother can't be envisioned screaming into the phone, "Walk it back." First, Lindsey Bolin accused him of sexual harassment. Cuomo denied. Then Charlotte Bennett made another accusation, but she had some proof, and Governor Cuomo called for an independent investigation. And according to Ed Morrissey of Hot Air, tried to choose their own investigator. That's a big no-no. It's not very independent to pick a judge, Barbara Jones, who has business ties to your administration, and New York Attorney General Letta James called shenanigans. AG James said, to clarify, I do not accept the governor's proposal. The state's executive law clearly gives my office the authority to investigate this matter once the governor provides a referral. While I have deep respect for the Chief Judge DeFori, I am duly elected Attorney General, and it is my responsibility to carry out this task. Per executive order, or executive law, Freudian slip. I must have Biden on the brain signing all his executive orders. James said in a statement, the governor must provide this referral so an independent investigation with subpoena power can be conducted. When the AG added, I urge the governor to make this referral immediately, the governor folded faster than Superman on Laundry Day, all in the same day. We had selected former federal judge Barbara Jones with a stellar record for qualifications and integrity, but we want to avoid even the perception of a lack of independence or inference of politics. The statement said, the work product will be solely controlled by that independent lawyer personally selected by the Attorney General and Chief Judge, a statement from Cuomo's office said. This is so awesome. He is in so much trouble. Clingy Andrew Cuomo walked back. So clingy Andy Cuomo walked back number one. So that's just walk back one. In the first desperate walk back, Cuomo buckled, according to the ABC News, and referred the case into allegations of sexual harassment against the governor to New York Attorney General Letta James, the governor's office announced Sunday night. His office made their first hurried statement. The governor's office wants a thorough and independent review that is above reproach and beyond political interference. Therefore, the governor's office has asked Attorney General Tish James to select qualified private lawyer to do an independent review of allegations of sexual harassment. The independent lawyer will be legally designated by a special independent deputy attorney general and granted all powers provided under Section 63(8) of executive law. As necessary, other lawyers from appointed lawyer firm shall be I'm getting tongue-tied. Sorry, everybody. As necessary, other lawyers from appointed lawyers firm shall be similarly designated to assist in the review. The lawyers shall report publicly their findings. The governor's office will voluntarily cooperate fully. This decision will enable the Attorney General, who already issued damning findings in relation to COVID-19 nursing home deaths, to utilize subpoena power in the investigation. He is in so much trouble. Clingy Andrew Cuomo walked back number two. In a second extremely weak, belated epiphany, as Morrissey called it, Cuomo issued another bafflingly weak, let's just call it like I see it, half-assed apology. Questions have been raised about some of my past interactions with people in office. I never intended to offend anyone or cause anyone harm. I spent most of my life at work, and colleagues are often also personal friends. At work, sometimes I think I'm being playful and make jokes that I think are funny. I do on occasion tease people in what I think is good-natured way. I do it in public and in private. You have seen me do it at briefings hundreds of times. I have teased people about their personal lives, their relationships, about getting married or not getting married. I mean, no offense, and only attempt to add some levity and banter to what is a very serious very serious business. I'm not going to read any more of this. Just pull up Patriot News. Read the article, because this guy is a freaking idiot. Because he has been full of shit for so long, lying and lying and lying. Apparently, Cuomo asked Lindsey Bolin, let's play strip poker on a private jet. As she got up to leave, he stepped in front of her and kissed her on the lips. He's touched her lower back, her arms, and her legs. That is going way too far. He's just gone way too far. And the fact that he is just ugly, they're probably puking in their mouths when it happens. Oh, I can't stand him. I can't stand him. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to play a quick video for you. And sorry, I got to look at my other computer here. Let's see. Who am I going to? Oh, Rand Paul. Rand Paul. This guy is freaking awesome. The way that he went after the Secretary of Health and Human Services, I think is what it is. He just calls her out. And I have a hard time with this whole subject. I will discuss it after we play the video. But this is crazy. They're just the stuff that comes out. Oh, sorry, I got to go into another thing here because I forgot to pull it up. There we go. Here we are. All right, get ready for a listen because I love Rand Paul.
Mutilation has been nearly universally condemned. Genital mutilation has been condemned by the WHO, the United Nations Children's Fund, the United Nations Population Fund. According to the WHO, genital mutilation is recognized internationally as a violation of human rights. Genital mutilation is considered particularly egregious because, as the WHO notes, it is nearly always carried out on minors and is a violation of the rights of children. Most genital mutilation is not typically performed by force, but as WHO notes that by social convention, social norm, the social pressure to conform, to do what others do and have been doing, as well as the need to be accepted socially and the fear of being rejected by the community. American culture is now normalizing the idea that minors can be given hormones to prevent their biological development of their secondary sexual characteristics. Dr. Levine, you have supported both allowing minors to be given hormone blockers to prevent them from going through puberty, as well as surgical destruction of a minor's genitalia. Like surgical mutilation, hormonal interruption of puberty can permanently alter and prevent secondary sexual characteristics. The American College of Pediatricians reports that 80 to 95% of prepubertal children with gender dysphoria will experience resolution by late adolescence if not exposed to medical intervention and social affirmation. Dr. Levine, do you believe that minors are capable of making such a life-changing decision as changing oneself?
The answers that this idiot gives, I love how Democrats can talk out both sides of their mouths. I'll just finish it here.
Sex.
Well, Senator, thank you for your interest in this question. Transgender medicine is a very complex and nuanced field with robust research and standards of care that have been developed. And if I am fortunate enough to be confirmed as the Assistant Secretary of Health, I will look forward to working with you and your office and coming to your office and discussing the particulars of the standards of care for transgender medicine.
The specific question was about minors. Let's be a little more specific since you evaded the question. Do you support the government intervening to override the parent's consent to give a child puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and/or amputation surgery of breasts and genitalia? You have said that you're willing to accelerate the protocols for street kids. I'm alarmed that poor kids with no parents who are homeless and distraught, you would just go through this and allow that to happen to a minor. I would hope that you would have compassion for Kira Bell, who's a 23-year-old girl who was confused with her identity.
Genital mutilation. He is so on the money. This is, I'm going to hold off for a little bit here and just let him finish.
14, she read on the internet about something about transsexual. She thought, well, maybe that's what I am. She ended up getting these puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones. She had her breasts amputated. But here's what ultimately she says now. And this is a very insightful decision from someone who made a mistake but was led to believe this was a good thing by the medical community. I made a brash decision as a teenager, as a lot of teenagers do, trying to find confidence and happiness, except now the rest of my life will be negatively affected, she said, adding that the medicalized gender transitioning was a very temporary, superficial fix for a very complex identity issue. What I'm alarmed at is that you're not willing to say absolutely minors shouldn't be making decisions to amputate their breast or to amputate their genitalia. For most of our history, we believe that minors don't have full rights and the parents need to be involved. So I'm alarmed that you won't say with certainty that minors should not have the ability to make the decision to take hormones that will affect them for the rest of their life. Will you make a more firm decision on whether or not minors should be involved in these decisions?
Senator, transgender medicine is a
Same answer. Same answer.
very complex and nuanced field, and if confirmed to the position of Assistant Secretary of Health, I would certainly be pleased to come to your office and talk with you and your staff about the standards of care and the complexity of this field.
Let it go into the record that the witness refused to answer the question. The question is a very specific one. Should minors be making these momentous decisions? For most of the history of medicine, we wouldn't let you have a cut sewn up in the ER. But you're willing to let a minor take things that prevent their puberty, and you think they get that back? You give a woman testosterone enough that she grows a beard, you think she's going to go back looking like a woman when you stop the testosterone? You have permanently changed them. Infertility is another problem. None of these drugs have been approved for this. They're all being used off-label. I find it ironic that the left that went nuts over hydroxychloroquine being used possibly for COVID are not alarmed that these hormones are being used off-label. There's no long-term studies. We don't know what happens to them. We do know that there are dozens and dozens of people who've been through this who regret that this happened and a permanent change happened to them. And, if you've ever been around children, 14-year-olds can't make this decision. In the gender dysphoria clinic in England, 10% of the kids are between the ages of 3 and 10. We should be outraged that someone's talking to a 3-year-old about changing their sex.
Oh, outraged is a understatement. No child should be mutilated at a young age like that. A 3-year-old has no idea what they want the next day. They may know that they hate carrots, and they'll remember that, but they don't know the next day what they're going to wear the next day. They don't know what toys they're going to want to play with the next day. This goes up my ass sideways. I honestly believe that if you want to change your sex, and if you're transgendered, that should be something that goes on when you're an adult, after you've had numerous sessions with psychologists and counselors and things like that. I know people that are going to have weight loss surgery, and they have multiple appointments with psychologists and counselors and doctors before they can even have this surgery. It just blows my mind that anybody would allow a minor to be able to make that decision on their own without their parents. It just makes me so mad. And some of my friends can't believe that I do not back all this stuff. Well, when I was that age, I didn't know that I was going to be who I am today. No idea. People are it's just horrible what they do to these kids. Oh, sorry, hit the wrong button. So, I want to bring up another article from today, a real quick one. It's another Cuomo. Third woman accuses Cuomo of making unwanted advances. This is from the Epoch Times. Third woman accuses Cuomo of making unwanted advances. And this was written by Isabel Van Buren, March 2nd, 2021. A third woman has come forward with harassment allegations against New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, as calls for the Democrats' resignation continue to grow. People are really getting upset. And this is where we're talking about the Democrats were going to start to eat their own. I'd spit them out because they don't taste so good. Anna Roche, 33, told the New York Times late Monday that she and Governor met at a wedding in September of 2019, where he made unwanted advances towards her. She alleged that he placed his hand on her bare lower back, called her aggressive when she promptly removed it, and then put his hands on her face and asked if he could kiss her. I was so confused and shocked and embarrassed, Roche told the New York Times. I turned my head away and didn't have words in the moment. The news outlet outlet published a photograph of the incident showing both of the governor's hands on her neck and on her face. He is a horrible, horrible person. Just like any other article, he asked if people could play strip poker. He just made awful comments to people. Oh, read the Epoch Times article. All I'm going to say is he is a horrible human being. More things are going to come out. And if you watched, I saw a thing today from CNN with his brother Fredo discussing how he could not cover his brother's, everything going on with his brother. And that makes sense to me, why he couldn't. And I hope some things come out also showing that his brother covered for him with certain things too. That everything that happened with the nursing homes, that's awful. And I think he should go to prison for that. Now, I hope they destroy him and take every penny that man has. Look, it makes me so mad. Give me 1 second here. And I am back. I'm going to play another quick video for you. Did any of you see the stuff going on in Congress when they were, Jim Jordan, he had a speech and he just goes off on Pelosi. Going to play this real quick for you.
Which is it? For 3 months, the Democrats told us the 2020 election was fine. There was no need for an investigation. It was flawless. But today, they tell us we need to change election law with an 800-page bill. Think about it. We need all this, 800 pages, to fix a flawless election? Maybe something else is going on here. Last year, COVID was the pretext for making changes to election law. Partisan courts, partisan secretary of states went around state legislatures in an unconstitutional fashion and changed election law in some states. And now they want to make sure those unconstitutional changes in a few states become the law in all states. That's what this is about. That's what this is about. This isn't the first time Democrats have tried to have it both ways, talked out of both sides of their mouth. Remember what they said. Democrats said Republicans tried to overturn the will of the people on January 6, 2021, when we objected to 6 states, but on January 6, 2017, they objected to 10 states. The Democrat chair of the Rules Committee objected to Alabama, a state President Trump won by 30 points. The lead impeachment manager objected to Florida, and the chairwoman of the Financial Services Committee objected to Wyoming. Wyoming, for goodness sake, a state that President Trump won by 40 points. They tried to overturn the will of the people in Wyoming We know what this is about. This is about raw politics,
Gentleman's
and we
time
should
expired.
all vote no.
Sorry about that. I muted myself. That's going to bring me into my next story. I love Jim Jordan. He is awesome. He had President Trump's back the whole time. This is another article in the Epoch Times. And Georgia House passes omnibus. Can you say that 10 times fast? Omnibus election reform bill. And I hope a lot of other states start to do this. Georgia's House of Representatives passed an omnibus bill that would reform a range of election rules, including over absentee voting, voter ID for absentee voting, and time limits for voting, and more. The 66-page bill, HB 531, passed the Republican majority chamber on a party line vote of 97 to 72 and is headed to the state Senate for further debate. State Rep. Barry Fleming, a Republican, the main sponsor of HB 531 bill, said that the proposal was designed to restore voters' confidence in Georgia's election system following the 2020 presidential election, which saw numerous allegations of voting irregularities and allegation of election fraud. A little too late, I'm going to say, but at least they're doing something. Separately, the GOP majority Senate on February 23rd introduced its own version of the omnibus. I'm going to say on the bus because that's easier for me. Election reform bill, SB 241, that has some overlap with HB 531. One difference is the Senate bill would eliminate no excuse absentee voting. Sometimes that has been allowed in Georgia since 2005, whereas the House bill will still allow no excuse absentee voting. The proposed HB 531, first introduced on February 18, sets up multiple requirements for absentee ballots, including a number of voter identification requirements in replacement of the state's current signature match process. Voters should have to submit their driver's license number, their state identification card, or the last 4 digits of their social security number on the ballot envelope. Excuse me. If the voter lacks government ID, the bill requires a copy of a current utility bill, bank statement, government check, paycheck, or other government document that shows name and address of the voter. That to me is just insane. That particular part right there. First of all, if you have a utility bill in your name, you need to have an ID. If you have a bank statement, which means you have a bank account, you have to have an ID. To cash a check, you need to have an ID, even if you go to a check cashing place. This just drives me absolutely out of my mind. Under the new bill, voters would be able to request an absentee ballot up to 78 days before the election instead of a current instead of the current 180 days, the absentee ballots and early votes must be received 11 days prior to the election day. The government, including election officials, would not be allowed to mail out unsolicited applications for absentee ballots to voters under this bill. That's awesome. Only authorized relatives or persons signing as helping a voter who is illiterate or physically disabled may apply on behalf of another for an absentee ballot application. Election officials also must not send out absentee ballots until 4 weeks prior to the election. To help reduce Georgia's runoff period to 4 weeks instead of 9 weeks, as experienced by the state in January 2nd runoff elections for 2 Senate seats, military and overseas voters should be offered ranked choice voting. This is awesome, and all states should be doing this. Every state, because what happened in this last election was crazy. Now, I know that Pennsylvania, I think, is trying to do the same thing. Every state should do this. I think every state should get rid of their Dominion machines. Gone. Everything should be counted, hand counted, like it used to be. And voter ID. I know when I go to vote, and I live in a small town, you go in, they ask for your address. They look up the address. Then they say, what's your name? So you give them your name. Anybody could do that, especially like if you live in a major city where people have no clue who you are. You could go from place to place, give a name, an address, and vote because you don't have to show ID. That, to me, is just insane. But then again, most conservatives and Republicans do not commit voter fraud. Just saying. So I'm going to show another video that I came across today with the HHS, I think it is. Oh, the DHS. The DHS secretary on how they're going to be sending kids back. And it just shows you that they're talking out of their ass again.
Are hoping to reunite the families either here or in the country of origin. We hope to be in a position to give them the election. And if, in fact, they seek to reunite here in the United States, we will explore lawful pathways for them to remain in the United States and to address the family needs. So we are acting as restoratively as possible.
Okay, then I'll pull the next video up. Same one, but same guy, just different.
To take this opportunity at the same time to reiterate a message that we have communicated repeatedly throughout, which is a message to those individuals who are thinking of coming to our border. they need to wait. It takes time to rebuild the system from scratch. If they come, if families come, if single adults come to the border, we are obligated to, in the service of public health, including the health of the very people who are thinking of coming, to impose the travel restrictions under the CDC's Title 42 authorities and return them to Mexico. And we have done that. We need individuals to wait.
They need individuals to wait. They have to start from scratch. Oh my God, they're really tapped. And they're actually going to send kids back. And you're going to hear nothing. You're going to hear crickets from the Democrats. You're going to hear nothing. And of course, they're not in cages anymore. They have accommodations for them. Well, how about not letting any of them come in at all? Okay, it gets me so mad. We're in the middle of a pandemic. So many states are locked down right now. And you're going to let people from other countries just come in? It's crazy. What the hell is wrong with the Biden administration? So many things that I couldn't even tell you all right now. Oh, this is actually interesting. My friend put up, Virginia has voter identification law. That's awesome. And I'm glad. I'm really glad that they do. And hopefully there'll be some more. And also, library cards. You need to have an ID for. It's been so long since I had a library card that I didn't know. So, my next article is no, I don't even have an article. No, I don't even know what I'm talking about. I just have another video. Reading the wrong things here. Sorry, everybody. I put my glasses on and I'm worse than I was. So you had GOP congressman going after Pelosi. And this, I got a lot of enjoyment out of listening to these guys. So let me pull this up because she deserves to be called out for her shit.
How many times Speaker Pelosi and the Democrats continue to say that there is not a publicly funded program to put money directly into her members' congressional campaigns? It doesn't make her statement true. In this bill, it's the first ever corporate money since 1907 that is laundered through the federal government, through the Department of Treasury, and goes right into our own congressional campaigns, up to $7 million using 2020 numbers. And also, I am angry that the speaker continues to talk about states like Georgia following the law to make sure that their voter rolls are complete and accurate, when in her own home state of California, the corrupt Secretary of State would not even commit to removing over 400,000 deceased or moved voters from the voter rolls. And many of them, if not all of them, got live ballots. This bill would place the corruption that we see in California and export it nationwide. And let me tell you, that corrupt Secretary of State, what a deal. We now call him a U.S. Senator. Now, I'd like to make sure that I give 1 minute to my good friend from Texas, Mr. Roy.
Gentleman's recognized for 1 minute.
Thank the gentleman. Madam Speaker, I would point out that the Speaker of the House came to the floor and used her magic minute, but doesn't stay on the floor and debate. That there is no debate on this floor. And then the Speaker said that there was amendments, 56 amendments. 49 of them are Democratic amendments, hand-selected by a small group in the Rules Committee. 49 are Democratic amendments. So don't buy into the kabuki theater that you're seeing on the floor of the House of Representatives. But you know what? I can't ask to take down the words of the Speaker, even though the essence of her argument is that I'm a bigot. Let's be very clear. The arguments being distilled on the floor today is that Republicans, my colleagues and I, that we are bigots. Why? Because they use fancy words like voter suppression to say that we are wanting to tamp down people's access to the polls, and nothing can be further from the truth. Heaven forbid we want to use voter identification. Heaven forbid we want to honor the will of the people through their legislatures in the states, passing rules to make sure that our system is actually working using voter identification that the American people use to fly, that the American people use to do everything else. If I demand that,
Gentleman's time's expired.
I'm a bigot. I yield back.
Gentlelady from California.
You can call me a bigot too, because voter ID, you need voter ID. And having ID does not mean there's voter suppression. The fact that they even will come out and say that this affects people of color, they have ID. They know how to get ID. Everybody has it. And you're pretty much calling people of color stupid. There was a TikTok video, and I can't find it right now. And it was while Biden was speaking about how people of color were too dumb to even work a computer and get online to find out where they need to go for COVID vaccines and things like that. And this TikTok, in this video, you have a black guy going around like a caveman and kicking the computer, using his hands to push it away, like he didn't know what he's supposed to do with it. And it was funny as hell. And some people got really upset about it for the wrong reason. You should have been upset that they're calling black people stupid. He is one of the biggest racists out there. And there's plenty of proof. You could just look up Joe Biden from the last 47 years in office, some of the stupidest stuff that he has said, the most racist things he has said. He's horrible. Oh, God, he makes me so mad. But we have breaking news right now. This just came out. The FBI let me bring it up real quick. The FBI cannot disclose the cause of death of Officer Brian Sicknick, according to Director Wray. The FBI cannot disclose the cause of death of the U.S. Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick after the New York Times and other news outlets either retracted or updated the reports, claiming he was killed by being hit with a fire extinguisher during the Capitol riots on January 6th. Director Wray responded to a question from Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa during the Senate hearing on Tuesday about whether the agency has determined Sicknick's cause of death. Grassley noted conflicting reports about the cause of death and whether or not there was a homicide investigation. There is an ongoing investigation into his death, Ray said, adding that I certainly understand and appreciate the keen interest in what happened to him. But despite Ray's testimony, it's still unclear whether the FBI does not know Sicknick's cause of death or whether the agency simply will not disclose it. Ray then stated the investigation is ongoing. That means we can't disclose the cause of death. When asked again by Grassley about whether the FBI knows his cause of death, Ray said, I didn't say that, and again repeated that the FBI can't disclose the cause of death. Sicknick's death was invoked a number of times by lawmakers in Congress during the former President Donald Trump's impeachment trial, and they tried to portray the riots as an insurrection that resulted in the loss of lives, repeating claims from the New York Times that Sicknick was beaten by a pro-Trump supporter during the riots. The New York Times later updated its story. New information has emerged regarding the death of the Capitol Police officer, Brian Sicknick, that questions the initial cause of death provided by officials close to the Capitol Police. Now, I brought this up before, that Sicknick's family, and I believe it's his mother, believes he may have had a stroke. Could not confirm it. She said he was not hit by a fire extinguisher. I really wish that people could sue these newspapers for the stuff that they do and that they put out, and just all of that, how they ruin people's lives. Like CNN's Acosta at the reporting on CPAC and what Donald Trump said, that all he did is lie. They're the ones that lie, and they're the ones that ruin people's reputations. People should be able to sue them. They really should. Yeah, I thought that was funny too, Jack. Pelosi's magic minute. And that Joe is sleeping right now. That's why the White House is dark all the time, because he's in bed. And that's funny. And I think I am going to start a pool and take bets as to when Kamala will be president. I think it's going to be sometime in March, because more and more people are coming out saying that his cognitive abilities are deteriorating. Deteriorating. Now I'm only kidding. But he's declining. And they have kept him so well hidden, and people are not questioning it. The press, they tiptoe around him and everything. You haven't even seen Kamala out talking, because how could you with a straight face? I just don't. I'm just baffled how anybody voted that dementia patient in. I really don't know. But everybody, I think I'm going to end it here. I've been on for 55 minutes, and I am getting thirsty. I hope you all have a great night. I'll come back in a day or so with another live feed, if time warrants it. Have a great day.